Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. It is indeed a beautiful morning, a very beautiful morning. It's very still. There's lots of lovely information coming in, and we're now in Sagittarius season, and we are heading towards the winter solstice. So there is a lot of very specific information that is coming in for us at this moment in time, and almost like a setup of protocols that are going to be occurring within our lives, our ascension process, that are going to accumulate. They're going to come to a head on the 21st of December, which is the halfway point of our transition. Now, I've mentioned to you before that I'm reading this amazing book at the moment that was sent to me by a lovely lady in the United States called Linda Hulley, who was associated, or is still associated, with the Bridge to Freedom, the group of channelers who brought through this amazing information back in 1954, which is what I find so absolutely incredible. This book is Memoirs of Beloved Mary, Mother of Jesus, and it's a combination of information or stories about her communications with the Board of Karma, with the souls that organise our incarnations on earth before she came down, and also some kind of almost private a look into her everyday life as she was doing the job that she incarnated to do. And the previous book that I read, that was channeled by, and I'll just show you the lady who brought it through, Geraldine Innocent, channel for the Bridge to Freedom. Here she is, taken probably before 1954. But I just find it incredible that this information that was coming through her at such a high clarity has such an importance, or a reminder of the importance for what we are doing at the moment. So I want to read a part of the book that I read out during my workshop this week on the 22nd. I've spoken many times about the importance of our energy, the vital essence of the frequency that we are sending out to others, how focused and how vigilant we should be with it. So this part of this book that I was reading the other day, it highlighted to me exactly how on track that is when we are taking our frequency and using it from a heart-centered point of consciousness to raise the vibration of others. But this puts it in an even higher perspective. So I'm going to read this little part of the chapter, and just as you're listening to it, take the vibration of the words in. So each one of you, whose vital energies, week after week, month after month, year after year, have magnetized the presence of the eternal God free, has formed a jewel of blazing light in the heart of this great metropolis. Now, great metropolis, she's referring to the city in which the channeling is occurring at the time. From the centre of this blazing jewel has flowed forth to the millions of people that live here blessings, purification, and spiritual upliftment of which your dear outer selves will never be conscious until you stand with me in the God-free realm. Then you may look back at the record which has been written by your own lives and see the pure energy that has replaced the effluvia, I love that word, of those who yet know not how to control thought and feeling. Magnificent indeed is the consciousness of an embodied Chela who can even believe in our presence in this universe, and most blessed are they who, in believing, weave the substance and energy of their own lives into an activity which is of benefit to the race. Do you know how many children are born every 24 hours within the 100-mile radius covered by the centre of your force field? Do you know how many bodies are fashioned by the builders of form? Do you know how many come in with much clearer sight, more perfect hearing, and better use of their faculties because of your constant, unbroken, rhythmic calls? Do you know how many children do embody in each year with vehicles and envelopes through which the Holy Christ self can externalize its divine plan, where otherwise they would have been born in all manners of distress? Is it not worth the use of your life energy woven into invocation, decree and song? Some day in your God-free estate you will look with joy upon those bodies and those strong life streams, those who are to be the builders of the new era. And you will know that your calls and your invocations, morning after morning, have made possible conditions by which a soul is allowed opportunity to fill its divine plan in dignity. Okay, so that again just highlights the importance of our personal frequency. He says, taking a swig of coffee. So what we are doing at the moment is of even more importance than it was in 1954, 1960, 1970. The divine plan, or the builders of the future, that point of focus is the now moment that we are going through, the explosion of the new high frequency energies that are coming in. And as I've mused previously, it would be considerably more tricky, and I think I said this in a workshop, it would have been a lot harder, or it's a lot harder now to maintain light, maintain frequency under the conditions that we are being presented with than it would have been, say, 2,000 years ago in Mary's actual physical lifetime, because we are witness to the incredible distractions of our era. We've moved into an era of technology where most people get their information from a screen or via social media, and that is part of what we are growing with at the moment. That technology, unless we choose to completely discard it, is part of our lives now. But the point of what I want to talk about this morning again comes back to that importance, or that responsibility of self that we have at the moment. And I made a post on my personal Facebook yesterday about a film that has been brought out, okay? And I'm not going to mention it or the contents of it, but it is being shared with utmost enthusiasm because it is basically proving everybody right who's been speaking up since the beginning of 2020. Now, for me personally, I've always said that the sharing of information, with the sharing of information comes a huge amount of personal responsibility, because when you share information and when you pass that information on, be it either via speaking, as I am now, or whether it is sharing a post, sending somebody a message, and that includes just, right, you've got to watch this, have a look at this link kind of thing. You then become, imagine yourself as an archer, okay? So you've got your arrow, you've got your bow, you draw the drawstring back until it hits to your shoulder, you aim down the arrow and you fire. And the recipient of that arrow receives the same message. It's the same process as sending a message and the person on the other end of it opening a message. The message is then opened. The body, the fields, the spiritual force field, the one that beloved Mary was talking about, then becomes infused with the energy of the message. And then, as the carrier of that energy, the message is either then passed on by the same process, drawing the drawstring back, loading the arrow, firing the arrow, finding the target or multiple targets. And this process has a rolling ball effect. Now, as this occurs, as you become the deliverer of the arrow, the firer of the bow, you then take on the personal responsibility of the energy that is the end result produces. So at this point, we then look at what is our, what is the point of our sharing? What did the message initially create within us that we had then to pass it on? Was it fear? Was it outrage? Was it indignance? Was it I told you so? Or was it actually that information raised my vibration? It made me feel better. I am now the recipient of something which has raised my light quotient. It has made me feel better and brighter about the world, and I now have the opportunity to share that love and light with other people. Now, there is a very precise method of vibrational control that is occurring within the 3D matrix at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, the film that is being shared, and a lot of you will know what I'm talking about, or some of you won't, and if you don't, then if you remain none the wiser, then that's okay as well. But this particular method of information, or this quality of information, I believe has no served purpose, simply because for those of us that are watching it that already know, we're not learning anything. All it is simply doing is creating a vibration of fear, outrage, indignance, and in many cases, right, well, we know who the culprits are, let's be angry with them about that, demanding retribution, demanding justice, which is in many ways allowing those holy fires of righteous anger to flow through us, is a perfectly natural part of our everyday spiritual process. We never look to dampen our emotions or squash our emotions or put them in a box or ignore them. Okay, that's what shadow work's here for. This is why we've become, or we're being taught to become, so absolutely in tune with ourselves that we can allow this to flow through. Okay, we can allow this to flow through without becoming attached to the cause or the outcome. It just is, we are just the central point. We are the channel of whatever vibration we are choosing to allow to flow through us at the time. But it becomes our personal responsibility when we are sharing, when we are passing that frequency on to somebody else. So the whole point, I believe, of this movie being created, and it's a slick creation, it's been done very professionally, it's not just been banged out on an iMac and right, here you go, share this round. It's had time, effort and money put into it. And because, and there also appears to be a little bit of kind of, a little bit of joke censorship going on with it. Do we really need to be tuned into this kind of information at this period of time? Do we need to be watching or reminding ourselves of things that create those fires of outrage within us? And then certainly do we want then to be passing this on to other people? There is a very, very definitive kind of state, or several definitive states of awakening that are going on around the planet at the moment. There's the halfway house where people are kind of just staggering around, finding their way. A lot of the information that they are receiving does indeed, it assists them to learn or to wake up to the ways of what the 3D matrix where they are extracting themselves from initially. But then I believe it is the utmost importance to then take that consciousness, that point of light, and infuse it with the vibrations of positivity and allow it to grow in that direction. Okay, because otherwise that point of consciousness simply just gets drawn back into the field of the 3D matrix, which at the moment is very full of fear, outrage, confusion. There's so much confusion in the world of the unawakened at the moment, because they are feeling the pressure. Okay, they are feeling the pressure, the push to wake up. And as I've said before, this is all done by soul contract. you can give people information, and if they are not ready to see with your eyes, then that information will be completely discarded. It is of no relevance to them whatsoever. In many cases, the transition from asleep to awake happens through personal experience. So something will occur that will trigger that awakening, be it something that personally happens to them physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Whatever is going on at the moment on that level, it's happening very quickly. I don't think we need to put the weight of our force behind it, and we've never had to. It's a self-supporting program of awakening that is being done by the vibration of light. So once again, looking back to the important, I mean, I love the title of that, The Importance of Force Fields, okay? And so you are a force field of light. You listening to this, you might feel anything but, okay? Or you might have woken up this morning feeling exceptionally shiny, and everything is bright and radiant, and you can carry that radiance and you can feel it visibly and etherically just flowing from you to the world around you. It goes a lot further than you think it does. You might just think that field of light is just limited to where you are, but it doesn't. It goes 25 miles in each direction, creating an awesome field of light. Now that field of light, once it's managed intentionally, becomes a magnetizing point for all of the other higher fields of light, such as the angels, the dragons, the benign extraterrestrials. All of these other souls that we're working with immediately recognize that light force, and they add to it. So we just increase and we grow, and that is then passed on to others who might be in the state of awakening. They're in that transformative state where it is essential that they receive the right ingredients to create the catalyst for them to grow smoothly and with the least amount of trauma. Because when you are being pulled out of the only way to describe it would be a 10,000 year sleep, a 10,000 year journey through the matrix, the trauma is being caused by, I believe, by the sudden removal of the dream. You know, being pulled out of a dream. But imagine being asleep, fast asleep, and then somebody wakes you up very suddenly, pulls you up and stuffs you back into your everyday life with very, very little kind of, you know, no airs or graces. That's what it feels like for a lot of people at the moment. Allow them to wake up gently, smoothly, in a loving environment, surrounded and nurtured by the force field of your light, especially if their environment maybe still be hostile, might be a bit toxic. The things that have woken them up are actually quite oppressive. So I love more than anything the information that I'm receiving, simply because it is just simply allowing me to acknowledge what I already had flowing through. But it also reminds me of how important what we're doing here on Earth actually is. We're not just randomly wandering around interested in past lives, crystals, spiritual healing, the ascension of the planet. We're starting to realize very clearly that the job that we are doing here is the building, or we're in the construction phase now. We're building very quickly, so everything that we put in is a brick, is the cement or the mortar that joins the bricks together, and that building is rising rapidly. Once we get to the winter solstice, again we walk through a gateway. We walk through a gateway from one frequency into another one. The other side of it is higher. So again, it's preparation, preparation, preparation. Everything that we're doing now will either make that transition through the gateway smoother, or it will make it more difficult. Okay, and that's the same for everybody else around us. So even if you are feeling as if you are having a tough day, that your light might be low, it isn't. Okay, that's just you in the physical body having you might be dropping density to allow more light in. You might be going through an initiation, in which case everything feels super duper challenging and that you are unable to cope, but that doesn't affect the quality and the quantity of the light within your fields. If anything, you're having more poured into you to produce that set of effects and consistencies that are occurring within your ascension process. So as we move into the last month of this year, we're coming rapidly towards the winter solstice. Get our houses in order. Make sure that what we are focusing on, and particularly sharing, it's almost that if we receive information that is confirmation for the things that we knew that is occurring around us that's bad, that's all it is. It's an indulgence. It allows us to indulge in what we already know is of a lower frequency, and that again is its own pool of emotional state in its own right. So onwards and upwards with our frequency, with our vibration, with everything that we are bringing to the table, and ultimately keep our light high, our frequency clear, and therefore our manifestation sharp. Okay, sending you all so much love. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I got some lovely workshops coming up, either mostly as collaborations. I'm going to be working with Mir Kafkios on the 6th of December, and I'm going to be working with Paul Debris Carey on the 12th. Got one coming up with Diana, and then David and I are going to be hanging out on the solstice together. So there's lots to look forward to, and especially let's look forward to the light that's coming in and the brightness, or this incredible sun that we can see at the end of the tunnel at the moment. Sending you all so much love. Bye for now. See you on Monday.